Come on.
Hey, everybody. Hey, friends. I hope you guys could hear me. Um, my camera is kind of doing its thing right now. I just didn't have it in me to pull down my green screen, do the whole setup. I didn't even slap on my wig. I'm giving you, I did put a little eye, yang, 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 and some lip. But we're going to talk about a kind of semi-serious topic. I'm going to try to keep my head down because I could see the blue glare from the screen. We're going to talk about a topic called Darvo, um, which if you're a millennial like me and you have an undiagnosed narcissistic parent or a parent who lacks the ability to take accountability because of their own traumas, you're already experiencing this. I'm just putting a name to it. But I'm going to talk about it in a situation that's happening right now between the comedian, actress, talent Monique and her firstborn. His name is Shalon. He's about 35-ish, I believe, mid 30s, right? A lot of people refer to him as a boy or a young man because he is Monique's son, but he's 35 at least. So let's get started. So you know, I'm all about my slides. So Darvo is an acronym. I hope I'm saying that right, girl. Ciao. Make me small. So yes, English. Darvo is an acronym for deny. That's the D. Attack and reverse victim and offender is a reaction that perpetrators of wrongdoing may display in response to being held accountable for their behavior. Some researchers indicate that this is a common manipulation strategy of psychological abusers. So, what's the difference between gaslighting and Darvo? If you cruise the internet streets like me, you have heard the overuse and often incorrect usage of gaslighting and even narcissists. Like, you're a narcissist, you're a narcissist. It's very hard to diagnose a narcissist because often narcissists don't seek treatment to even get diagnosed because they do nothing wrong. So the studies are that the diagnosis of being a narcissist is very young, but narcissists don't go to therapy and they don't do well in therapy or stay long enough to even get a diagnosis. So denying is a tactic where the gaslighter flat out denies the occurrence of certain events or dismisses the validity of the victim's emotions. Abusers employing Darvo deny their actions, the impact of their behavior, or even the existence of abuse altogether. They may dismiss or minimize your experiences and emotions. Okay. Difference between gaslighting and Darvo. Gaslighting is something that can happen within a conversation. It could be quick. It's not very picked up on. It's not very subtle. And usually you don't know you're a victim of gaslighting until you have, quote unquote, lost the argument or lost the conversation, or you find yourself now the tables have been turned so quickly on you, you don't even know what the fuck happened. Darvo, on the other hand, is, I think, a lifestyle, and I think occurs with every single situation every time you have a conversation with this person. So let's start with the D in Darvo, which is denial. Someone adamantly denies being wrong and won't acknowledge wrong behaviors. A person using this tactic will not only say that they are not abusive, but will minimize your feelings. If they tell you it is not that big of a deal, or you're making too much of this, or, something to that effect, That's another way to deny the wrong behavior and its impact on you. So if you go to, to somebody and go, look, I don't like the way you spoke to me back there in front of, my children. You tell your parent, I don't like the way you spoke to me in front of my children. We could have these conversations behind closed doors. Oh, this is not a big deal. You make it too much of it. Or the proverbial, well, you do that to me, you know, shit like that. So let's go into A in Darvo, which is attack. The accused person becomes aggressive, arguing that they are not in the wrong. They also seek to cast doubt on you as the person who is questioning their behavior. Instead of just refusing to accept responsibility for abusive behavior, the person is actively working to make it look like you are the one who is in the wrong. Abusers attack the credibility, character, and or motive of the victim. They may use insults, threats, gaslighting, or manipulation to discredit the victim's account of the abuse. Ooh. And if you have a parent, and we're talking boomer parents, if you're 20 listening to this and your parent is my age, no. If you got a millennial parent or a a Gen X parent, no. We talking about millennials with boomer parents. Boomer parents, 1950 parents born in the 1950s, 1960s, and late 1940s. We're talking about those parents. If you're fortunate enough to have a Gen X or millennial parent, no, we're not talking about you. We are different. We're talking about boomer parents who are whose parents is the silent generation, right? So let's go to the next one. Reverse victim and offender. That's the RV and O in Darvo. This is a little lengthy. Let me get me out of here so I can read it. The abuser tries to switch roles, arguing that they are the real victim, as my last example, that, I can't ever be a victim because I stayed out and went to the skating rink, and making the victim look like the offender. That's the old switcheroo. The old switcheroo. The abuser may claim to be unfairly accused, then say you are making accusations to cover up your own behavior. This attempt to shift blame helps the abuser be seen in a more positive light while inflicting mental and emotional pain on the person already experiencing the abuse. In addition, an abuser will gaslight the victim, making the person wonder if they are crazy or think that or think that what they are experiencing is not actually abuse. An abuser will also likely deflect, trying to switch gears and remove attention from the problematic behavior. By denying their actions, attacking the person confronting them, and flipping the roles of victim and offender, the narcissist effectively redirects attention away from their own actions, often causing doubt in the victim's claims. If you have been reared by a Black parent, the easiest and most comprehensible, the easiest to understand is the ideology and the practice of physical beating and hitting to discipline children. Now they will like to throw this in your face. You spoil the rod and spare the child. And their reasons and justification on physical abuse. Now, I'm not here to get into that debate. My first, second, third, and fourth level of defense involve no physical whatsoever. Have I been on the brink of losing it and struggling with my own hormones and my own emotional roller coasterness that I was going through, and an occasional pop has released and I pop my kids on the butt over their pamper? Yes. Did I feel immense guilt afterwards and felt like I wanted to drive my car off a cliff because I had struck my children? with a light tap over their pamper, yes. My first go-to is not even to yell at them. So I've said it in my other videos. I practice gentle parenting, and I understand that the ideology of gentle parenting might seem like an overcorrection when you have been reared with physical abuse as the primary form of discipline. But I also have more education as far as child rearing and the mental long-term effects because I have studied it and I have lived it, that I know that is not for me. And yes, I get threatened with, you will reap what you sow by not striking your children. You're not beating them, you're not instilling discipline in them, you're doing them a disservice. I've heard it all. But when that woman stuck her hand in me up to here to pull out my male child, I have the right to take that risk. Or, like I like to um like I like to say, since I am well aware of what it feels like, the long-term effects, and the ineffectiveness that beating your children has, because I was a product of hitting as a form of defense, not defense, um discipline. I know that shit didn't work. And I know it has traumatized me and created unnecessary childhood trauma that I just don't want to inflict on my children to have a sense of control. I don't need to control my kids. They don't need to be me. So I don't need to hit them. Now, yelling, I try not to do it, but I was raised in a house with yelling. So that is my default. And like I said before, I'm trying to unlearn shit that I have learned. I am still a student. I'm still learning. Um, if there is an immediate danger, yes, I would yell. Like if their hands about to go on the stove, I'm not gonna say, "Hey, don't do that," while they burn themselves. No, I'm gonna yell. Come on, common sense. I'm educated, right? So now that you guys know what Darvo is, this is just a quick cliff notes. I really implore you to take some time and study it yourself and really get into the minutia of it all and study, because I'm pretty sure if you have a boomer parent, they're doing this shit to you right now. Okay, so next slide. The impact of Darvo. Oh, sorry. I'm gone. Bring me back. Bring me back. Oh, that's too little. I can't read it. Oh, you know what? Where we at? Where we at? Where we at? Okay. Abusers who use Darvo methods on their victims often achieve the intended results. Study shows that when people saw one person using Darvo tactics on another, the victim was viewed as less believable, while the perpetrator was seen as less abusive and less responsible. As you can imagine, dealing with that level of manipulation in a day-to-day takes a massive toll on its victims, physically, mentally, and emotionally. And if you are that, spiritually as well, because the black people love to use the Bible as a weapon. Darvo negatively impacts the victim's mental health because they internalize the false narrative that they are the perpetrator, that's that reverse, and that the problem in the relationship or abuse is their fault. They convince themselves that they are the cause of their own mistreatment, leading to feelings of self-blame and self-doubt. All righty, people. Next slide. All right. So when I said to the younger people listening, if you had millennial or Gen X parents, how this Darvo is more than likely not being used on you, because the millennials and the Gen Xers, mostly the millennials, the Zennials, I consider myself a Zennial because I was born in 84. And I have their millennials that are born in 1990. We're not the same. So if you have a Zennial parent and I'm 40, I could damn sure have a 22-year-old, 23-year-old. If I had a kid at 17, I could have a 23-year-old, and you might be listening to this. The millennials and the older, the Zennials and the Gen X's, we've kind of, because we are the generation with instant access to information, and a which opened up a quest for knowledge, your Darvo is probably not being used on you. But if you have a boomer parent, Darvo is more than likely being used on you. And this is and what's going to happen is the great separation. So, let me get to my slide. Oh, ew, happened. All right, the great separation. Separation. So, the great separation is young America. I don't know about any place else. So, all of my slides and what I write is based on America because I'm American. I did see in my analytics that I have some UK and even some people from India. So, sorry. So, if this is like this where you're from, or if it's different, please comment on my videos. I want to learn. But in America, young America is really rejecting the biblical adage of honor thy mother and thy father, along with the attendance concept of compulsory kinship, a desire to have healthy relationships, and a cultural shift around people being allowed to choose who is in their family. And that is not limited to choosing to have the person who raised you in your family. That is also having the choice of allowing them to be in your space or removing them from your space. Millennial and Gen Z adults are cutting off helicopter parents, and many rifts remain unhealed. How does one cut off a parent in the age of social media? That was one question that I pondered, because back in the day, it was easier to cut off a parent. All you had to do is move away. And have you watched old movies where they continue to try to reach out to little Johnny and write him letters, and they just put the letters in the shoebox in the attic? Right? But we're in the age of social media. So we have a lot of access, and we have a lot of immediate access to each other. So, it's not uncommon to block messages and the parent doesn't know that they're blocked. Emails go unread, gifts are returned unopened, the return to sender. Um, but they're not going to get the hint. The Darvo-ian is not going to understand what's happening. All right. So that was a very cliff notey version of what Darvo is. I could probably talk about Darvo for a whole goddamn week. But if you guys are like me, you have a very short attention span thanks to the age of information. So let's talk about Monique and Shalon. Now, this is Monique, and this is pretty much what she looks like now. She looks fucking damn good. I give props where it is. And this is her son. And this is a recent video of him. I'm a still shot, a snippet from a TikTok he put up. This is how he looks. Just a dusty. But nonetheless, I'm shady as shit. But that's her oldest son, her firstborn. He's named after his father. A lot of people say Shalom, but it's Shalon. And people like, where the hell she got that name from? He's a junior. He's named after her father. All right. So we are going to can I play these? No. Okay. So what we are going to do is I'm going to give you a summary of what has been happening with them, because you probably don't surf the internet like me. If you know, then this is just a recap. If you don't, this is what has been going on. It's I only have 5 things to show you guys. It has continued to go on, but it just shows you where it starts, what happens, and how it pretty much tapered off. And it's enough to show that Monique and her husband, who she fondly calls daddy, are Darvo-ians. Let's see. All right. So I'm going to do share my screen. Okay. And share audio. All righty. Can y'all see? Yes, yes, yes. Oh, want y'all to see good. Okay. So Monique's oldest son, Shalon Jackson, speaks out about their reconciliation claims the comedian created a false narrative. If you don't know where this started, Monique was on Club Shay Shay, and she talked about trying to reconnect with her oldest son, and he felt the need to put this out. Oh, you can't hear anything.
Being Monique's oldest son, I guess I felt the need to make this video to just provide some context into this false narrative about her praying to the universe in order to reconcile our relationship or whatever the hell it is. I wrote it all down so that way I don't go all over the place and get emotional or anything like that. So I'm gonna talk like I'm reading a script, but it's just gonna help me kind of stay together. But to address the Club Shay interview that she did, where she states that she prays to the universe in regards to reconciling our relationship, as I stated.
Also, he says he's going to read from something so he could keep his thoughts together. A lot of people criticized him and said it was scripted. Duh, I write down shit to keep myself on track. So I appreciated that. Okay, let's keep going.
Is odd. My mother and I both know that that is a very false narrative, and I would like to free her of having to continue telling that lie. Faith without work is dead, and neither one of us cares to put forth any effort to Hi.
Oh.
I am Shalon. I am a stand-up comedian, Monique's oldest, reconcile with the other. We are separate, as she put it, because she doesn't care to be my mother any more than I care to be her son. Neither one of us has had the desire to reach out to the other in a very long time, and I don't think that either of us anticipates that feeling ever returning. Speaking with my mother directly, in my experience, will either lead to some odd newfound moment of clarity in regards to how she was as my mother, or she retreats back to daddy to move forward with a conversation. And I'm tired of hearing my mother's truths. Newsflash, I'm not sure if people know, but standing in your truth doesn't make you noble. I'm not sure if people are aware of that. But responding this way, I feel as though it allows me to say my piece uninterrupted. To those wondering, well, why say something now? Call it a form of therapy.
Okay, did you catch that? He said responding this way allows him to get it all out without being interrupted. Do you remember in the Darvo where the narcissist or the Darvo-ian, because not everybody's a narcissist, not all Darvo-ians are narcissists. And I'm coining the term Darvo-ian, by the way. Not all Darvo-ians are narcissists. So the Darvo-ian will switch it on you and change the subject and now talk about how they're the victim and you never got to finish your original mother. So he comes like this, and people go, well, why? You know, a lot of the comments, I'm not going to scroll through the comments, but a lot of the comments that I read said, why don't you just call your mother? Why are you talking to your mother? Why are you taking it to the internet? And here's my rebuttal. His mother took it to the internet first. We didn't know about no Shalon. I knew she had some older kids, and I know about them juicy twins that she has with daddy. But I ain't never even heard of Shalon. Last time I saw Shalon, he was looking cute and chocolatey at the BET Awards with his mama. After that, we ain't never seen him again. His mother took it to the internet first and brought up the relationship. So he's taking it to the internet. But also, his mother is a Darvo-ian. And that's why he says that he has to express himself this way without being interrupted and to be able to get it all out.
For me, I suppose. But when her daddy had reconciled with the other, we are separate, as she put it. It intentionally stated that they have three sons, but his wife is on the internet talking about the fourth son in things that I
Ooh,
was willing
sorry.
to
Sorry,
get
sorry,
a
sorry. I meant to
video
pause
that.
that. If you don't know, when he says daddy, he's talking about Monique's husband, Sydney. Sydney is her third husband. That is not his father, but Monique calls Sydney daddy. So when he says daddy, he's talking about Monique's husband slash manager, Sydney.
It has millions of views. That rubbed me the wrong way. But anyway, to inform a child that you are not interested in being a mother at a time when that kid is the only kid, that has the potential to lead a child to believe that you are not interested in them specifically. But to take it a step further, you also admit, my mother had also admitted to me that she didn't do the best job that she could do, um, which would also make one begin to question, all of your past decisions and prior emotional interactions. But to be completely honest and fair, um, those were intentionally stayed dead over. Nobody's perfect. We're all human. But my mother showed a clear lack of humility, compassion, and consideration when taking any level of accountability for those things. My mother does a fantastic job of acknowledging a lot of things, but she doesn't take accountability very well, and anything that she may take.
Darvo-ian. He says, my mother does not take accountability. Now, I don't know their relationship because in the Club Shay Shay interview, she does say that she wasn't the best mother that she could have been to him because she was chasing the bag. So I don't know what other accountability he's talking about, but in that situation, she did. But I also think Monique is a manipulator, which I learned doing my research on Darvo-ians.
Take true accountability for, it's only at her convenience, in my experience.
Mm.
But if I had to guess, though, her interest in being a mother probably started around the time that she married her daddy and had his children. But that interest, obviously seemed one-sided, and as it should have been. By that time, I'm in my late teens, so to some degree, the excuse me, the neglect becomes easier to hide or validate. I guess you could say there are now two baby boys in the house, that require attention. Things that I was willing to, but still during that time, however, I still watched her enjoy the love and admiration of total strangers more than my own. To this very day, my mother has never expressed to me when, if ever, she became interested in me as her son. That did lead me down a path of questioning my self worth and struggling to understand the value of a mother in a child's life. In the interview, she also states that she gave me an apology, but an apology to a son from a mother that consciously showed no interest in him holds no weight. There are still women to this day that my mother will give credit to for being more of a mother to me than she ever could. Her assistant, my cousin, being one of them. Um, every time, though, that my mother would state that she was right here whenever I was ready, that ideology still, but still during that time, however, I still.
Now, I'm with him on that. There's a lot of things that I think he picked up from his mother. And let's just be clear, I don't. He's also manipulative as well. Um, but when I could sense it, right? Because I've been trained to. But um, I want to say that a lot of people are going to say, why isn't he talking about his father? Why doesn't he mention his father? And he goes to address that. But I do agree with the fact that he said that my mother is not on a huge platform. My father, sorry, is not on a huge platform talking about me. My mother was, and she was.
Still watched her enjoy the love and admiration of. Blows my mind today that a person could openly admit to being an uninterested, not put my best foot forward type of parent, and be so self-centered that they still express to the kid, you have to come to me when you're ready.
Okay. The fact that she said you have to come to me when you're ready, I don't agree with. He's an adult, he's her child. There is a level of hierarchy. If there is a situation and you guys are both here, you have the responsibility as a parent to reach out. He does not. That's just my opinion. That's not her man. That's not her husband. That's not her partner. That is not even her equal. I'm not equal to my mother. My mother's my mother. He's not equal to his mother. There is a level of responsibility as a parent, and you are a parent for life. I don't agree with Monique saying that her son has to come to her. She has to go to him.
You got to come to me for us to make this right. Okay. But I'm not sure what my mother could possibly think that she has shown me in the past or have for me now that's not money. Goodness gracious.
Ooh, the not money. Because you'll see in the rebuttal how all they talk about is how they helped him with money. And there are love languages. And boomers, if you were a black boomer, you grew up poor. You grew up dirt poor. And there was no room for feelings. There was no room for emotions. You guys were just trying to make ends meet and have 3 square meals a day and not end up in somebody's jail. Y'all didn't have time for all of that. So how did you show affection? With the one thing that was coveted and y'all did not have is money. So when y'all grew up, you think money is a substitution for time. How many people says, or how many boomer fathers would say, I didn't need to go to no baseball games. I worked. I put food on the table. You had a house to live in. The lights were on. I didn't need to go to no games. Yes, you did. But we understand why you couldn't. But yes, you did. Time. Time will always be more important than money. Yes, you need money. I'm a capitalist. I love the dead presidents. But if you told me, there's a reason why, I'm going to use myself as an example. I have the degree and the acronym and the education and the drive and the wherewithal to go out into the world and make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. I could do that. I think I could. Now that I lost the weight, I can use my feminine mocha chocolate. No, I'm not mocha. Light and sweet colored ass all the way to somebody's Wall Street and Sharon Stone my way to be some fucking executive. But at what cost? At what cost? I get a job on Wall Street using my MBA, I'll never see my kids again. They're going to make me work for that money. I'm going to be traveling to Manhattan. I'm going to be on the train or I'm going to be driving. I'm going to be working long hours. I'll be working weekends, but I'll be making $250,000 a year. Isn't that good enough? There's a reason why I stay in the field that I'm in. I'm in at a set time. I'm out at a set time. There are no weekends. There's no overtime. There's no, oh, we need you to come in. No. I get a generous amount of PTO. I get all the good federal, state holidays off. I need to take time off to go volunteer in my kids' classroom to build gingerbread houses. I can do that. I'm not willing to give up the time just for money.
That would make me want to come to her or whatever those feelings are supposed to be. A mother is supposed to be the first woman that a boy falls in love with. I loved my mother very much, but my mother loved things more than she loved me, and she would validate her love for me by giving me things and would.
Now, remember I said I think he has some manipulation tactics. I don't agree with what he said here. Monique loves her son. Love is not an issue. When it comes to Darvo and Darvo-ians, love is not an issue. Love is not the problem. Monique loves her son, but Monique does not know how to express the love for her son that he can digest. Let's say that again. Monique cannot express the love for her son that he can digest. Monique could only, especially when you had him, you wasn't raised. Monique has said that Sydney, daddy, her third husband, has raised her, and I think he actually showed her how to love. I think Monique has actually experienced what it feels like to have somebody love you, and therefore she can reciprocate those feelings, especially to a man that loves her. And she can probably easily give that easily digestible love to the children she made with him. I don't think she could do that with Shalon because she did not know how. And the only way she knew how, especially since Monique is a product of abuse, she's been abused and she's been sexually abused. And I've said this before, you are stagnated in the age of your trauma. So when she had him, she didn't have the emotional or even intellectually emotional capacity to love him the way that he could digest it. I don't agree with you, Shalon. I think your mother loves you. I think she loves you very much. And I don't know this lady from a can of paint. The problem is you guys are on different languages. That's why you rolled your eyes and you looked at the camera when you said stuff. And I don't think he has the cognitive understanding of what having a parent who's a boomer and also a victim of abuse, what that looks like.
Would proceed to call me ungrateful or inconsiderate if said things did not have the desired effect. Blows my mind today that a person could. I couldn't imagine what it's like to be her though. To ask God for what you want, and then He gives you what you need though, only for you to ignore it and have the audacity to ask God for something else. And I'm glad I don't. I'm glad I didn't do that. Um, and when He told you no, you went to the universe instead. By no means, though, do I want to give off any type of an impression that I am a victim of anything. It's not the case. As you can see, I'm smiling from ear to ear. I'm alive. I'm happy. I'm a dad. I'm healthy.
He's a big fat phase on fucking liar. Him having a partner and a daughter is probably what's keeping him out of these red pill spaces. Because red pill men are made because of a mammy mama. Red pill niggas are the product of their mothers and what their mothers did or did not give them. You are happy, you are this, you are healthy, you are hurt, my nigga, hurt.
I think I drink a lot of water. I'm getting over a cold now. I still have my days just like everybody else. And, there were a few things that she did teach me along the way. I did learn how not to love from my mother. I also learned to make sure that I never lose so much of who I am that I have to value. I couldn't imagine what it validated through another person. And though I feel as though, in hindsight, I think she did it reluctantly. I do appreciate my mother, for showing me what the top of the mountain looks like. You know what I'm saying? It did give me perspective on what hard work and dedication can get you. But I don't want something like that at the cost of giving up something that I created. I don't want it that bad. And speaking of creations, I genuinely, truly, I really did want my mother to have a relationship with my daughter. I even fought through those intrusive thoughts that were, if she wasn't interested in you, what makes you think she's going to be interested in your kid? Um, but it took my mother no time at all to prove that those intrusive thoughts were correct. But what I can say, good for her, the universe did, bless her, validate it through another person. Her with three other sons, bless her with three other sons, and God willing, I'm sure that one of them, all three of them are adults now. So I'm sure that one of them, God willing, if not all three of them, will make her the grandmother that she wants to be. Um, I still look forward, to that moment for her. But overall, when it comes to the boys, though, I am happy that whenever they do hear me talk, sorry, my phone did something weird, but whenever they hear me talk, they don't know what it is. They can't relate to what it is that I'm saying. My experience with my mother is not their experience with our mother. So my prayer for her and them is that they continue to see her the way that they see her now. I do also want to make sure that I say thank you to my mother for giving me life. Without that moment in time, I wouldn't have had my little one. But outside of that moment, there isn't anything that either of us has to offer. With three other sons, or the other, in my opinion, it's a waste of God's time and the universe's time for praying for something that you are not willing to put forth any effort to obtain. Putting the work into becoming Monique is more important to my mother than being my mother. And I do not believe that it was never about her being there and waiting for me, but it was supposed to be about me being there and waiting for her. Um, my mother's value had reached such a low point in my life that I no longer found it necessary to either want to wait for her or even go to her. But like I said, man, I'm super grateful that she has the opportunity to do it all over again. I'm happy for her. I hope the Cat Williams tour goes well, but the narrative that she prays for us to reconcile is a false narrative. It's not real, and I'd appreciate it if she stopped saying stuff like that.
All right. So you guys saw that it was broken up because he put them on I got this from Instagram, and you can't have such long videos, so he broke it up, and he pretty much did this on his TikTok. And I don't think he's doing this for any financial recognition because he put it on his TikTok. I think he could have went right on a platform like Tasha K and they would have paid him for it. Let's get into his mama's response. So after he did this video, Monique and her daddy, aka Sydney, you will see them in a moment. They went on and did a video. Share the screen. And Monique. Am I sharing? Okay.
My son, my oldest son, Shalon. And this is what I want to say to this. There are some people that are saying, oh, you should be ashamed of your mothering skills. You should be ashamed of yourself. This is what I'll say. Let's let it play out. Because the same ones that said to me, I was crazy, I was deranged, we watched it play out. So just like with my son, we'll watch this play out. And I do want to address this though, Shalon. When you say her daddy, then that's when mommy gonna say stop playing, because you know this has been Uncle Sid your whole life. Uncle Sid knew you before you knew you. So for you to say her three sons, yes, you're absolutely right. He has three sons. He can't claim you as his son because he's always been Uncle Sid. And he knows your daddy very well.
And love that brother. And the irony of all of this is
bullshit. Bull motherfucking shit. Okay. So if you don't know the relationship between Monique and Sydney, aka Zaddy, they were friends first. They were friends since like 10th grade in high school. They were friends. He's watched her get married. She's watched him have relationships and have a child, and they were friends. And 18 some odd years ago, because they've been married 18 years. This ain't her new husband. They've been married 18 years. So let's say 20 years ago, whatever, they started a relationship. Now, I could understand Shalon would have called him Uncle Sydney. Okay? But once you started sleeping with my mama, and once you started living in my house, you had children with him, Monique. Everybody in the house is calling this man daddy. The twin boys, his son, everybody in this house is calling that man daddy. You want Shalon to still call him uncle? You have created a divide and let Shalon be seen as less than, like the redheaded fucking stepchild, because everybody in this house is calling him daddy except for him. How fucking confusing is that? I'm still supposed to call him Uncle Sydney, but you fucking my mom and you made siblings. Everybody is calling him daddy, but I have to keep calling him. And let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, if you are engaging in a relationship and you are getting serious with somebody who has children, I don't care if they have an active mother or father. They are now your bonus child. And it is, and if you're talking about their mother, because he was referring to their mother, Monique has 4 children. 4 children. She has Shalon, who she gave birth to. She has an adopted son. I believe his name is Michael, that she adopted with her second husband. And she has twin boys with Sydney. Monique has 4 children. 4. Sydney has 3 biological children. A son he had from a previous relationship and twin boys with Monique. At the time that they said that they had 3 sons, it was Sydney's son living there and the twin boys. But you refer to his wife as having 3 sons. No, sir, your wife has 4 sons. And if everybody in the house is calling you daddy, Shalon is supposed to call you fucking daddy. Unless you guys talk to Shalon and said, me and Sydney here, we're getting together. He's moving in. We are a couple. We're now getting married. What would you like to address him as? Because we understand that you have called him Uncle Sid, but now he's going to be mommy's husband. I'm going to still call him Uncle Sydney. Okay, that's fine. Now there are baby boys in this house. They're calling him daddy. Okay, Shalon, your brothers call Uncle Sydney daddy. Would you like to call him daddy? This is the conversation you're supposed to be having. But you're going to sit here and talk about he's Uncle Sid is bullshit.
Is not what is.
Sorry to keep pausing. And I love him and I love that brother. The love bombing is a manipulation tactic by the Darvo-ians.
Said, but what's left off.
Yes.
See, you're leaving off the fact that the last time we laid eyes on you, your mother got you everything you needed for the newborn baby. about 3 years ago. You're forgetting about how I, from Georgia, am talking you through getting your car after we gave you the half the day put up by
my son.
No, he didn't forget that. He said y'all gave him stuff. That's what y'all said. He said y'all gave him stuff. He didn't leave off nothing. He didn't talk about the stuff. He said y'all gave him stuff and gave him money. Well, I'll say y'all, but you the breadwinner, Monique. So my
oldest son, Shalon.
I wonder why I can't do the rest of it. It was the whole thing. Now it's not the whole thing. Let me see if I gotta go to his page to get the other ones. Hold on. Let me stop sharing for a moment. All right, let's play this from here. Oops. All right.
I, from Georgia, am talking you through getting your car after we gave you the half the down payment for it. And you were 31 years of age, 32 years of age at that point. And I'm negotiating the deal with the dealer for you as you sit there. And you have the vehicle you're driving right now because of your mother. These are the things that you're leaving out when you're expressing what you're expressing in reference to your mother. You're not expressing the relationship that you have with your father, where you spoke ill to him, not to mention spoke ill to your mother, but somehow your mother and father and I all have a loving relationship and communicate back and forth because of the love that we have for you. The one thing these individuals, and to the individuals out here that oftentimes speak after they've heard one side of the story, there's an old saying: believe half of what you see and none of what it is that you hear. Please don't take our word for it, but what we will convey is this. Those who are parents and have raised their parents up to being adults.
Children. Raise their children up to being adults.
Right on. Those who are parents that raise their children into adulthood know that there comes a time and a place in which they determine their own decisions, their own path. You can have multiple children that are raised in one house, but they act and they take on different things.
Okay, so a few things, right? One, Shalon mentioned the things, the material goods, right? And they are doing the same. They're talking about cars.
Okay, that's another content creator. So, wonder if I could. Okay.
These individuals with the mansions, with the cars, and all of these things, in the words of our great ancestor, Bob Marley, some people are so poor, all they have is money.
Come on.
Don't be that.
Come on.
Don't be that.
I'm sorry to be chocolate. When I hear my son, when I hear you, Shalon, talk about money and stuff, it's like, baby, as I told you when you were younger, I told you as a man, don't let nobody introduce you to me. You know who your mama is.
And when folks speak in reference to calling you
a Darvo-ian, he know who you are, Monique. He had to get reintroduced to you because you damn sure put a nigga before your man. And for whatever reason you had to do so to protect your peace, you definitely put a nigga before your man, because that's your son. And Sydney doing all the talking. That's your son. And Sydney's doing all the talking. So You said to your son, don't let anybody introduce you to me. You shouldn't let anybody else introduce you to him, bitch.
Your seed, sometimes, especially when
Oops, sorry.
your seed decided to call things off with you because you didn't move for a 34-year-old, 32-year-old man in the time that he wanted to do, because you as a mother, you as an entertainer, you as an actress, you as a grandmother, you as a wife, allotted the time to see him, but he pushed you away. But then when it's time for him and it doesn't work for you, now it's a problem. Listen, it comes a point in time where when you become a man, when you become a woman, it is your obligation to do for you. To do for you. At 31.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. It is not your obligation to do for you. You talk about family, you talk about community, you talk about this. If my light's about to turn off, I'm going to my mama. I'm going to my mama. If I can't pay my car note and they talking about repoing my car, I'm going to my mama. I'm going to ask her for a loan, but I'm going to low-key turn it into a gift because I'm the only child. But it's going to be a loan. I borrowed money to buy both properties that I have had, and I've paid them back because that'd be egregious. I can't keep that amount of money, but I need help. I was born in 1984. This is my third economic crash. 9/11. When I chose to get a psychology degree, you could be a school psychologist with a bachelor's. By the time I graduated, you needed a master's and a license. The bar kept being raised for my generation. My generation are renters. We're not homeowners. And the ones who are homeowners look like this. They don't look like this. Well, that don't work on my hand, but they get houses at their wedding. That's what I'm saying. My big fat Greek wedding, the bitch got a fucking house. 32 means what, Monique? If you have the means, why not instill that foundation your white counterparts are?
One brother, 32.
Did I pause it? Sorry. Hold on.
I'm sitting there on a conversation at the behest of your mother. Why? For you, because I love my nephew, and we still love you, Shalon. That's why your mother and your father interact with one another, to let them be aware of what's happening with you. So if you think you're not loved, that's because you're not paying attention. And there are other dynamics that fall into play, in which we completely understand. And for you too, we're going to keep the light on for you. But I find it extremely ironic that the last time you saw me,
Now, I've watched these videos over and over and over to study. There's some nasty work that's about to come up, and just be aware. There is some nasty, low-down Darvo-ian shit that's about to happen.
wanted to be able to call me dad. And I couldn't allow you to call me dad because there's only one dad in your life. And he's a friend of ours.
Come on.
He's a friend of ours.
Dirty, nasty, dirty and nasty. You can't allow Shalon to call you dad because he has a dad? What about Pop? Maybe not daddy, because I have a daddy and he's active. What about Pop? Poppy. Father. Step Dizzy. What's up, Step Dizzy? What's up, Daddy-o? Oh no, y'all alienated that boy. Y'all alienated that boy and made him a stranger in his own fucking house. Okay, so that's pretty much the crux of the video. Sydney, aka Daddy Hicks, did all of the talking for a situation that involves his wife and her son. All right, let's go to then let's go to Monique's text messages. So Monique then releases saved screenshot text messages between her and her son. Okay. So I'm going to let it's like a slideshow. I'm going to let it play. I've read them. I'm not going to sit there and read each one to you. There are some content creators that will sit there and read it. No. I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes versions of what's happening after. If you want to pause and go over them yourself, please do. I'm going to get me off the screen so y'all can see them nice and big. All right, let me get me off of here, and I'll just let it play, but I'm not going to let the music play because there's music. Okay. So the big blue one is Sydney's. All right. So pretty much the text messages are over 3 years old and they have huge breaks in date and time. Now, I don't know if she deleted text messages off of the thread when she took those screenshots, but some of them go from like October 2021, and then the next bubble is April. So I don't know if those are blocks in time of when she's not speaking to him or she deleted some stuff. Either way, she puts out these text messages to vindicate herself and go, these are the messages of a woman that supposedly doesn't love her son. What I found cringe in the videos is that she refers to Shalon as my sweet babies. The same shit she refers to us, the public, as, hey, my sweet babies, I love us for real. But then you call your son sweet baby? No. Shalon is not supposed to have the same nickname that you give to me. I ain't shit to you. That's that generic love bombing shit. Okay. Another message is he seems like he's going through something and he asks to speak to his mother and she just poo-poos him away. It's like, let me call you in 30 minutes and then 30 minutes come, I'm just tired. Another, the whole blue, the big blue one, that was from Sydney. And he basically, in that message that is supposed to be private, addresses Shalon's mental health situation. And Monique put that out. Now, if you follow Monique stand-up and you've seen her shows, she has a bit about her son and his mental situation. I'm not going to repeat it, but it's a joke. And I thought it was a joke, exaggeration of a situation for a laugh or a chuckle. Yes. But seeing that being addressed in a text message that you, Monique, put that out there, I saw that was some dirty work. That's dirty work. That's dirty work. You could have retracted it. You didn't even have to put that out there. That was some dirty work. And I know I've said before that I believe Monique loves her son, but I also don't think she's maternal towards him. It's more like a platonic love. I don't think it is a mother-son love because I don't think she sees him as her son. that's just that's a threat to daddy. That's who Shalon is. Shalon is a threat to daddy, and she loves daddy more than she loves anyone else in the world, including her children. And definitely she loves daddy more than she loves Shalon. That goes without saying. Like, she should, like, if they're all on a boat and she could only save one and it's Shalon and daddy, Shalon's a goner. And he knows that. He knows that. All right. So this is Shalon's response to his mother putting out the text messages.
Right. Hi, I'm Shalon. I'm gonna jump right into it. I guess the intelligent thing to do when assuming that your son is having a mental episode is to post
He's reading because he writes it down ahead of time.
Personal screenshots of text messages that are 3 years old in an attempt to validate a false narrative as if they are some type of receipt. You also invaded the privacy of my daughter's grandparents by posting your receipts. Neither of you should never speak on mental health again if you thought that that idea was a good one. As a person who lives with mental health issues, let me be the first to educate you that there are individuals who have taken their lives, harmed, and also taken the lives of others for doing the very thing that you so proudly did and your fan base pats you on the back for, which is very telling to how strangers will buy into your
Not this fan base, Shalon. I said that was dirty work. That is dirty work. To release those text messages, that was dirty work.
Toxicity. Picking up the phone to check on your son that you believe is having a mental episode to make sure that he is okay, while also making sure that your granddaughter is safe, is too much to ask, I guess. For those wondering, I have gone to therapy on several different occasions, and that is not something that I will ever be ashamed of. I have even gone to therapy with my mother on several occasions. But for those who know how efficient therapy only works when both people are being open.
And there it is. I said before, narcissists do not do well in therapy because you have to be accountable for your actions. You cannot go on the defensive when somebody, respectfully, of course, tells you how you hurt them without you making it the end of the world and flipping it on them. You cannot go. Therapy does not work on narcissists. Look it up.
My mother was still in her 15
because they're never wrong.
10-year-old mentality phase during that time. So I guess I understand why she did not know how to be open with me during our sessions. When a person becomes accustomed to being a victim and others get used to seeing them as one, they live their lives in a state of internalization, meaning you consistently receive another's approach as an attack. Constantly putting you under the illusion that you need to always be on the defense, even in situations where there is no actual attack, just an acknowledgement of things already said by you.
Did you remember that in our Darvo-ian slideshow? Remember the attack part?
One should not feel attacked by an acknowledgement of the words that they stand on. You eventually become a passive aggressor. To address the men that had something to say in regards to men don't do what I'm doing, let me be very clear. How I man is none of your business. What
he should have said, how I man is none of your motherfucking business, bitch.
What and how I feed my family has no place on your plate. For every person that stated I should not have,
as Jay-Z once said, what you eat don't make me shit. Why are you bothered?
Come to the internet, I would just like to ask, what do Club Shay Shay, the articles about my mother and I's relationship, the interviews about our relationship, and Instagram all have in common? Well, if you are competent, the internet. Furthermore, I did not expose my mother, nor did I badmouth my mother. I simply provided context to what was already being said about me, while also explaining why I don't speak to them directly. The Those that feel negatively about what I said are just having a hard time differentiating between Nikki Parker and Monique. Please stop with the cornball idea.
Very beautiful point, Shalon. The majority of her fan base see Nikki Parker, the single fat mother who was going back to college with her daughter from the TV show The Parkers. That is not Nikki Parker. The M-O apostrophe capital N-I-Q-U-E, that Monique, is still not his mother. His mother is M-O-N-I-Q-U-E. Nikki Parker and the stage personality of Monique with the apostrophe, those people are not his mother. That is not his reality. That is not his world. We, and I say we as the general public, but not me because I'm neurodivergent and I think differently. I know for a fact because I have this personality of Eris, of static. That is not how I live my life from day to day. Now, when I do videos like this, there is a level of me as a person in it. But when I'm all then, that is not how I live my life. We don't. We code switch. The bitch that answer my work line is not the bitch you're going to get when I'm drinking. It's not the mother I am when I'm interacting with my kids. We all have different ways that we interact with people. And people are forgetting that this woman is not Nikki Parker. Nikki Parker is the mother he wished he had. Nikki Parker was a great mother. Monique is not Nikki Parker.
That a celebrity can talk about a family member on the internet for years, but God forbid said family member says any one thing, and you all are outside with tiki torches and pitchforks defending not the actual person, but the idea of a person. These people are in an industry that is efficient at making money off of what is pretend. So in essence, you are defending a character. I love my mother, and it took the birth of my daughter to help me begin to understand the value of a mother. I am very proud.
Very, 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 very facts. I didn't understand mothering until I became a mother. I didn't understand how to let things go. Don't sweat the small stuff. Don't take it personal. The burden one has to bear with being a mother. Now, I don't know what it's like to be a father because I ain't never been a man. But I know there is a level of burden and angst and anxiety and strife. And I just think it's nothing comprehensible until you actually become a mother.
Proud of my mother, though. And I'm proud of the things that she has accomplished and will go on to accomplish in the future. My mother's bad, man. I watched that woman go from Baltimore to the moon. That drive is also in my daughter.
Like Monique.
She's still my mother. She's also a part of history. And I would be doing my daughter a disservice by not telling her about who my mother is and was. But since those messages that you posted were used as some type of a receipt to validate your false narrative, I figured I would take some time to gather up my receipts to validate my decision to move forward with my life without my mother in it.
The great separation.
I do want to thank you all for.
Sorry for pausing. He tried. He's a parent. You have to protect your peace. The great separation.
Listening for the now final time that I will ever address this topic, and I will leave you with my receipts.
What did that show her? Turn off the music. So he's showing pictures of his daughter. And what I'm getting from it is Monique has never seen this kid. That's what I'm getting, like outside of social media. Her and Sydney have even admitted that the last time they saw him was 3 years ago when they were buying everything he needs for the baby. And I get the impression Monique has never seen this kid in person. And that there is a level of jealousy because Shalon's partner, I don't know if that's his wife, Shalon's partner's parents have access to her. But it doesn't seem like Shalon is denying access to Monique. It's just like Monique is not doing the work. She looks like Monique. Where's Monique? She's chunky and chocolate, just like her grandmother. Oh, Monique. There's a birthday party and there's no Monique pictures. That must be her mother. Mm. Mm, 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 mm. So he puts that out there. I haven't seen any picture of Monique holding that baby, being at no parties or nothing like that. So, yeah. You just don't want nothing to do with him because that's you didn't make him with the nigga you love. And okay, so Shalon does a Q&A. He says this is the last time he's addressing it, but he goes on his page and answers some questions. So let's take a look at that. Late night. All right. Oops. Are we still going? We still going? Okay.
Is it that you're looking for from this? Well, okay, so it's a two-part answer. If you were to ask me that question when I originally posted my video, the answer was honestly nothing. Those that know me would tell you Shalon posted that video and honestly thought that it would get no more traction than any of his other videos. I'm not famous. I am not famous. I'm not a celebrity. So they think my last name is Jackson. So when I did that, I didn't think anything would come of it. But to be fair, this is where I am right now. And to honestly answer your question, I don't know if I have a full answer right now, maybe. Maybe it's I just continue posting what my TikTok originally was before it became this. To be fair to me, outside of these 3 videos, my TikTok profile is myself, my daughter, and my girlfriend. And I don't, see why I would change from that. You said change. Do I think my mom is a narcissist? No.
There we go. That word has been overused, narcissist. Overused. Is my personal opinion. no, I don't think that Monique is a narcissist. Most narcissists are men, and narcissist takes zero accountability. Monique has taken accountability for her lack of mothering to chase the bag. A narcissist would never. And the fact that but I think she's manipulative, and I think she's a Darvo-ian, but I don't think she's a narcissist.
I don't think my mom is a narcissist. What is it that you're looking for from this?
All right. So it goes on and on. They have a few more back and forths, but that no. All right, guys. So that is my show on Darvo and Monique in the Shalon situation. So I think I put together a very good mock trial presentation for you guys. Do you agree? Do you think that Monique and Sydney are Darvo-ians? I definitely think most boomers are Darvo-ians, especially, well, I only know black spaces. So in black spaces, I think if you're a boomer and you grew up poor, you are a Darvo-ian by default, and it's not your fault. It's not the blame game, but it is what it is, and that's all that it is. And you guys, you boomer guys, you weren't given the tools to autocorrect, whereas the Gen X's and the millennials, and I even say that loosely with Gen Xers, because I think Gen Xers still have that honor thy mother and thy father thing down, but I think the boomers are the last of the generation to potentially get the blind love and affection they believe they deserve without reciprocating that to their own children. But us millennials, if you are not putting forth the effort to try to be a part of our healing without being overly defensive, you're going to find yourself alone in the nursing home with the nurse knocking you upside your head because your churn ain't coming to visit you. So it's something to think about. You need to realize that this woke generation is really woke, and we're not subscribing to the blind loyalty that you have come to expect. Peace out, y'all.